it's Monica and I'm inviting you to make a recipe for a chickpea omelette. So omelets without eggs but wonderful flavors. So yes, and thank you very much for downloading my ebook, and if you have not downloaded it, the link is in the description. So let's go. I'm gonna grate some courgette because I want to use it in the chickpea omelette, but you can do it completely plenty. So it's very easy. So I have a washed courgette, and now I'm gonna grate it. You don't have to take the skin off. It's really right. So that's done, and what I'm doing is just making sure that nothing is left, and just have that. So that's all nice and grated. And what I'll do, I'll put a bit of salt in here so that it just releases some of the juices. And once it does release some juices, I'm going to squeeze it out. I'll put in a separate bowl. Okay, so now the zucchini sort of release some of the juices, not much, it's not really this. What I do, I just quickly squeeze out water from it. I just don't want too much water on it, but even if you have a bit of that, that's okay, because you're gonna add water anyway to the chickpea flour once I put it in the bowl. So I'm just making sure it's here. I'm not necessarily use all of it, or you may use all of it if you want to. I'm probably going to use all of it, but actually you can have half of it and the rest just use raw in the salad. So there is a bit of the liquid left, so that's okay, and I'll just put it back. Now I take the chickpea flour, and I'll just have a cup, just cup. If you don't have something like that, it's really a lifesaver, especially in the sort of rough recipes. The cups are not necessarily the greatest for baking. You have to have exact quantities. Otherwise, you just have to experiment and see whether that works. But I love like the teaspoons like that, or like measurements and the cups, so it saves me weighing the ingredients. It's just roughly one cup of chickpea flour, and I just put it in here, and then I'll add, for a start, 3/4 of a cup of the water, just for a start. I don't want this to be watery, it has to be a nice thick butter, and I'm gonna spice it up in a minute. I'm also gonna add aquafaba, and I will show you in a minute how I'm doing it. So it's just simple mixing this with the spoon. It doesn't need anything more. You can add a bit more flour, you can add so, but normally this recipe will make 2 omelettes basically. And when I add aquafaba, it's obviously gonna decrease its volume. And now what I'm adding is, so I want to make sure it's all from the spoon and it's all mixed up. But I wouldn't worry if there's some lumps in there, that's okay. Now I'm adding a bit of, for the kind of nice sharpness, I'm adding a bit of, which is 1/2 teaspoon of mustard. If it's not in the recipe, don't worry, it's going to work without it. I'm just showing you a bit of modification of what else you can add. I love the nutritional yeast flakes, they look like that, and that's basically, it is showing you, it just gives you a bit of the cheesy flavor. So I'm putting two tablespoons, and now I'm putting a teaspoon of turmeric powder, because I don't have everything ready. I'm not a perfect chef. I don't really use, I just measure and show it. And I'm really adding this not for the flavor but for the color, for the yellow color. And that's an ingredient. Also, you can use it with the plain tofu and it will work magic. So your batter will look like made with eggs. So what I'm adding is a bit of salt. You can always taste the recipe. I don't really put a lot of salt and some pepper, because I'm using a lot of different sauces with this, or some fried mushrooms. I don't need this to be very salty, to be honest. It smells really nice with the nutritional yeast. Hi, so I'm back with the aquafaba. So what I'm doing at the moment, I'm just pouring the aquafaba so it's a chickpea water from the tin. It's not a lot of it, but that's fine. You don't really need a lot of it to really work for this recipe. We want to add some fluffiness into the omelette, and I just noticed that with that it's really nice and fluffy. You can do without aquafaba like this with it, that's not a problem, but I just really wanted to make it almost egg-like omelette. So, and for me omelette has to be fluffy. So the chickpeas are left, and I use them in the pea and chickpea burger, which you have in your ebook. So it's perfect. You can do the combo right now. So obviously chickpeas not going to go to waste. And now what I do, I'll just basically the aquafaba has to be cold. Yeah. So I put the whole tin into the fridge for half an hour, and now it's cold, and I can basically change it into the fluffy like egg whites mixture. So that's aquafaba is done, and you look at that, it is quite stiff, so when you turn around your container it doesn't fall down. Yeah, so that's what you really want, because you don't want this to be watery. And now basically you take the spoon and you add how much of it. You can add all of it, or you can add some of it, so depends how fluffy you want your no eggs omelette. So I would say that is quite fluffy, and it's ready to go on a hot pan, and that's it. You can add all sorts of different things and with it, but I mean this one is really delicious with the courgette in it. So you want your pan quite hot, and now what I'm doing is I'm putting a few tablespoons of the mixture, or just for this. I don't want this to be thick, too thick, because you have to flip it, and when it's too thick and it's not done properly, it's going to be very difficult to flip it. So just like that, I think it's going to set, and it's going to be ready in a minute. Okay, so I kept it at around quite high gas, and then I kept it about 2 minutes in here. What you want to think is like that the upper part, top part, is really also set a bit, because that allows you really nicely to flip it over, because it can get quite messy, but it's a very quick thing. Just you do that and off we go. We have beautiful wonderful chickpea omelette almost done. So that beautiful omelette is now done. What I take it in my hands, and I'll just cut it in some triangles, or yeah, and then just looks like that. It's absolutely delicious. I'll put it on a plate. What I also do, obviously those are fresh herbs which you've seen I've picked up from my little garden, but how absolutely lovely. And I have some fresh tomatoes. I have some sprinkle of the fresh herbs, which are here, but also I'll put a bit more in here. Just for a nice flavor, and I will show you in a minute what it looks like. Hi, so I hope you enjoyed the recipe. So that's the plate. This is what it looks like, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I can, and as I do. So enjoy it. You can have it for lunch, dinner, breakfast, wherever. You can do a bit more. You can put it in the fridge and then maybe reheat a bit, or even eat cold. That's not a problem. Lovely salad. I'm serving this with barbecue sauce, for which you have recipes as well in there, but you can serve it with some fresh salads of tomatoes, cucumbers, and a bit of green leaves. It doesn't have to be very fancy, but those chickpea omelettes are a fantastic source of protein and really, really easy to do. So I hope you enjoy this.